This week, the Hands Off CEO podcast is pleased to share a replay. Please enjoy, and we'll be back next week with more insights about scaling your business.
Is your current success putting a lot of demands on you? If you're good at what you do, and you are, then everyone wants you. But that's no way to scale. If you're delivering spectacular results, you should be commanding higher fees, working with only the best clients. Welcome to the Hands Off CEO podcast, where world-class agency owners and consultants learn how to fully monetize their expertise and scale profits by doing less. Here's your host, Mandi Ellefson.
Welcome to the Hands Off CEO podcast. This is your host, Mandi Ellefson. I'm really excited to be opening up a new season of the Hands Off CEO podcast. And we've seen a lot of changes happen in the past 18 months to business in general. And one of the things that people are always asking and that they're really looking at knowing is, how can I really make my consulting agency safe? How can I be able to scale it in a way where I can know that we're going to be successful and I can continue investing in that direction? And in this new business climate, we have more constraints than ever before. And really, it's harder to do business than ever before. That doesn't mean that you can't be successful. And in fact, there's a lot of opportunities that may not have been there before. One of the biggest opportunities, and that just kind of ties into this quarter four that we're in with buying season, is that your clients and your prospects are open to new ideas in a way that they never have before. And they're open to investing in solutions that are going to really help them overcome some of the biggest challenges that they've ever dealt with, if you have a vision for them, if you actually can show certainty with an approach and a vision for their company. So I want to talk about what are some of the things that we've seen change in the past 18 months, and then how do you be able to use that to be able to actually strengthen your business, to be able to strengthen your offers, to be able to actually increase your fees. Yes, how to be able to actually increase your fees and get a higher commitment from your very best types of clients. We're going to talk about that today. So I want to share some different stories that we've seen, some examples of how we've seen this shift for our clients. So, and when last spring of 2020, there was crisis that was happening, a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's going on. And what we did is we went right back to the drawing board and said, okay, what is it going to take for you to be successful? And we're asking that question with each one of our clients. What will it take for our whole tribe to really benefit from this and be able to secure the business, to be able to stabilize it, and to be able to actually increase and grow? What is it going to take? So we went right back down to the foundations. And the foundations are one client, one painful problem, and one outcome. So that's the power of one's formula that we teach our clients, and we use that as a basis for their offers. So I want to share with you a few different examples of how that's changed. So Jamie has been on our podcast a couple of times, and he has shared his story. And one of the target markets that they have gone after is travel. So in a matter of about a month, they saw over half their business just disintegrate. And it was really a scary, challenging place for them. But the good thing is that they had the cash reserves, and they'd really strengthened a good, solid company, in that they were able to diversify away from that, and they were able to re-strengthen their company. And now their company is quite a bit larger even than it was in 2019 and 2020. And they've seen just some really incredible growth. So that wasn't their only target market. At the size of their company, it made sense for them to have more than one, but they really needed to look at their client type and be able to adjust that. So with one client, one painful problem, and one outcome, the problem was still the same. The outcome was the same, but that client type, they could no longer provide those type of results for. So they had to shift the client type. So Will, another one of our clients, what they found was that in the industry that they were serving, they no longer had that same problem. They were in the construction industry where that was really booming, where there was a lot of homeowners that were sitting at home and saying, hey, you know what, let's remodel. So that created a real demand for those services, and their problem changed. So they looked at they had the same client there, the problem changed, they wanted the same outcome. So really there was an opportunity for us to look at, well, do you still want to service this type of client? Can you actually solve the problem that they now have an operations problem? And that's something that we looked at it and evaluated. And that's where you want to be looking at Like, are we deep enough in this client pool? Are we a deep enough expert into this clients that we want to actually look at how do we solve that problem and help them continue to grow? Maybe, maybe not. That's going to be different in every situation. And it could be that they want a different kind of outcome. But as a top level expert in your company, as a CEO, a visionary, your job is to really be looking ahead and to be seeing how the market's shifting and seeing how that's going to impact that Power One formula that you have in your business too. So the problem to get there may be different, or it might not be that different at all, but just how they talk about it is a little bit different. So during some of these changes, you're going to get really clear and aware of what needs to shift in order for your offer to be relevant so that your prospects and your clients will be willing to invest in it right now instead of it being like a next quarter nice to have type of thing. So one example I'll give you is Mark, and his business is in the banking industry. Now in the banking industry, some problems have changed, and some problems were exactly the same. It's just a matter of it's accelerating how quickly that the changes had really occurred. So what they were running into is that some of their clients, they were getting kind of nervous. Some of them were actually canceling contracts. So that could be a place where you're a little bit freaking out, right? You're like, well, Mandi, you're telling me that we can increase our fees, and we're actually having people saying that they can no longer invest. And that could be a very challenging place to be. And it certainly was for Mark. And what we looked at is, how do we be able to shift this? How do we be able to give them more certainty and a more elevated pathway so that they actually will invest? So Mark had shared this on a different podcast episode. So if you want to go directly to Mark's interview, you can hear him share the story from his own observation. But what we did is we went from looking at offers where he was charging on average between 10 and 20,000 for projects here and there, and they just kept adding more projects. But then there was a start and stop where it would create a real lumpy cash flow. And that's a very difficult place to be scaling from is if you can't anticipate the cash, it's hard to be able to hire new people so that you can actually have those people to be able to actually deliver the services, right? So what we did is we looked at, well, what is going to take for us to put together like an amazing growth program that the bank would actually be really excited about investing in? What is that going to take? What outcome could you create for them? And what we did is we turned that into a $100,000 program that he has sold for $100,000, $120,000 over and over again. And now they have a growth program that they're investing in for a year plus. Now they have a really clear vision, and these clients that before were really nervous about investing and even canceling are now doubling down, and they're able to charge a lot more. And what he shared with me is the costs are actually the same to deliver. They're charging a lot more now. It's more profitable. And the best part is it's less reliant on him. So he actually has more time to go out and focus on sales. So that is a different kind of thinking. And that's the kind of thinking that we really want to be leaning into with the changes that we're seeing in the market. And it's now more important than ever to really be intentional about where you're putting your energy. What are you really tuning into? Are you tuning into this place of abundance and possibility and, really creating from a vision, or are you going from a place of fear and being worried about losing more and just want to hold it in and protect it? So what we want to really create is this abundance bubble where you are surrounding yourself with other successful CEOs who are thinking like you are, who are really expanding, who are creating, who are looking at, how do we be able to continue make this better? How do we be able to continue to expand rather than contract like a lot of the rest of the industry is? And looking at, how do I be the creator of my reality rather than being a victim to whatever is going on in the environment around in the business world. So just to sum it up, in any market condition, you can always be successful. And how you're successful is getting really focused on the Power One's formula, the one client, the one painful problem, and the one outcome. And the combination of those three, those things are going to be changing over the life of your business. They're going to be changing over how you decide the kind of clients that you want to work with. Ours is constantly changing. We're constantly up-leveling that, and just as we get more and more clear about who we are really here to serve. And that's an opportunity for you to be thinking about, how do we be able to do that? How do we continue to elevate that? So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, wow, I would love to really see what this would look like for my business, and you want to learn more about the Power of One formula, I actually do an executive briefing If you want to go to handsoffceo.com/briefing, you can look and sign up for the next one that we have coming available. That is complimentary, but you do have to fill out some questions to make sure it is a good fit for you, because it's really a place for high-level CEOs who really want to scale their company. It's just an hour-long briefing, but we talk more about this and do a deeper dive on this Power Ones formula, and you can really have an opportunity to get feedback from me on your business. So you go to handsoffceo.com/briefing. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Hands Off CEO podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.